This week on C Plus News Time, Netflix has a pair of comedy specials from Trevor Noah and Bill Burr, the Johnny Carson Seeso show lands a cast, and the pilot season is in full swing. What is this wondrous time of the year when Hollywood hopefuls and elites alike try to shop their latest mockumentary comedy or Chicago-based procedural? There are 4 of those shows in both genres, guys. Do we really need another Talking Head series? I don't care if the interview is with a talking dog. I'm feeling a little bit feisty today. Maybe it's all that one day at a time I've been watching. Venir aquí mi amor para que yo pueda hablar Spanglish en este sin más tiempo de noticias.
It's C Plus News Time. Delivering to you the news you didn't know about, the news you didn't care about, and the news you didn't know you cared about. With host Chad White. Now, here's that host, Chad White.
My fly has been down all day and no one has taken my invitation. Welcome back to C Plus News Time. I'm your host, Chad White, and this is the comedy news that you didn't know about for the week of January 23rd, 2016. First up, Trevor Noah and Bill Burr will be one of many other comedians to have a Netflix comedy special. The streamer announced last week that Burr's special, Walk Your Way Out, will premiere this week. Tomorrow, in fact. Cool fact alert. Burr taped this show at Nashville's Ryman Auditorium. Later in February, Noah's Afraid of the Dark will step into the light. His last special, Lost in Translation, aired last year, and he still hosts The Daily Show. When does he find time to write? Noah and Burr join a cavalcade of other big-name comedians to join the Netflix party. Among them are Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, and Dave Chappelle. Next up, about 2 years ago, in 2015, I reported that Paul Reiser was working with Johnny Carson's family in order to do something with tapes of Carson's run of The Tonight Show. Now NBC's Seeso streaming service has set the cast for There's Johnny. The 8-episode series will star Tony Danza, Ian Nelson, Jane Levy, and Roger Bart. Danza will play Freddie DeCorva, the chain-smoking old Hollywood executive producer of Tonight. Levy and Nelson will play a talent coordinator and fan of the show, respectively, and Bart will take on the role of wardrobe guy. We also got a few more details. Reiser wrote the 70s set story with David Steven Simon, both of whom will produce. Reiser's Red Oaks director David Gordon Green will helm the project. There's Johnny will premiere in 2017. And finally, it's pilot season, y'all. That time of the year when young, blossoming starlets move to Tinseltown and try their darndest at landing a pilot. But it's not just a hard time for actors. No. Everyone from TV executives to writers are all running around like ants trying to buy and sell pilots. Pilot season is a great time for a new series, or in recent years a reboot, to get an audience with TV's bigwigs. Shows like The Office and Adventure Time both had pilots before they had full seasons. Sometimes, as I've said in earlier episodes, shows can be bought as put pilots, like the Arrested Development series, which will be made into shows no matter what. Pilot orders keep trickling in left and right. All last week, NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox, CW, and other networks put out their feelers for potential new shows. But with the addition of deep cable networks like IFC and Fuse, and streaming networks like Hulu, Netflix, and Amazon, there's a sense of swelling up too much TV. Again, as I've said in recent episodes of News Time, there are 454 scripted series on television right now. Even though some shows aren't picked up, like Sarah Silverman's Season 13 with Harris Whittles, these shows can mostly be seen thanks to the internet. What happens to the shows that just seem to disappear? Well, it's just that. They recede into the ether, never to be seen again. Creators often try to shop the shows to other networks, but they almost always never get picked up. But for the shows that do get picked up, they're still not out of the woodwork. Shows can be canceled in one episode. No one is safe. Anyways, pilot season can be described as a time of the year when several networks get pitched a bunch of shows and decide whether or not to actually pay for the pilots. For a handful of the hundreds of pitches they hear, networks can ask for scripts for maybe 50 to 70 of them, and of those, only 10 to 20 of those pilots will be made. And anyone can be a part of the fun. Hundreds of actors make their way from across the U.S. and from across the world in order to just audition. Eventually, a few of them get casted. The rest must make that sad trudge back home. Have you seen La La Land? It's basically the first 25 minutes of that. Also, if you haven't seen La La Land, go see La La Land. I love it. Once pilots have been produced, they're shown to bigwigs who previously requested them. Test audiences can also be commissioned to view these screeners in big groups. The pilots will undoubtedly get feedback, mostly what they're doing wrong, and retool the show from there. Actors could be replaced, whole story segments could be dropped, or the show could go in an entirely different direction. After the newly finished product is produced, execs watch them at the upfronts, a May event I've discussed before. If the networks decide to make a move on the shows, they add them to their fall, spring, or mid-season calendars. There are a few different types of pilots. Broadcast pilots are what we're normally used to seeing. The first episode in the series is typically the pilot. Parts of that episode would be reshot because the shows often change from page to screen. A pilot presentation, for example, can be commissioned if the execs see a future in a show but don't exactly want to pay for the real pilot. The presentation is a one-day shoot that'll be a small portrait of what the show would be like. These are also shorter in nature, ranging from 5 to 7 minutes. Almost in the same vein is what the Always Sunny guys did. Their pilot presentation was shot with nothing but their own crappy camera. And look at it now. It airs 10 episodes at the beginning of the year on an FX offshoot channel. Jokes aside, the show has equally grown and stayed the same for the last 12 years, and it's probably one of the best shows on television right now. Sometimes pilots can come from other shows dubbed backdoor pilots, which turn into spin-off dummies, wherein a mother series mid-seasons episode is used as a proof of concept of sorts. This used to happen all the time. Girlfriends spawned The Game, for instance, or more recently, Hot in Cleveland and The Soul Man. Yes. Like regular pilots, backdoors do fail. Just look at The Office episode titled The Farm, which was supposed to serve as a way for Dwight Schrute to have his own series. Similarly, for The Office, its pilot developed from the British siblings' first episode. Then there's the unintentional pilot, where a short or episode of a show proves to be so good that it starts its own life. Examples for these include the shorts that South Park came from. Demos are a more bare-bones practice where shows use less original production methods and just focus on the cast and writing. Thanks to 90s shows like Pepper Ann, Recess, and King of the Hill, demos became a popular way for cartoons to be showcased. I've discussed a put pilot before, like 4 paragraphs ago. Where were you? Let's go. That's where the show will be made into a series, or else, if not, the network has to pay a lot of money to the creator. And then there's the 1090 rule. This is a practice that I personally despise, wherein a show is given an initial 10-episode order. If those 10 do all right, i.e. hit a dumb low ratings goal, then 90 more episodes will be ordered. Every Tyler Perry show and a couple of FX shows were produced under this deal. It's super stupid. They just mine the already hollow characters and stories and then air the episodes for 2 or 3 years straight. So now that you know what a pilot is, maybe you can have just a little bit more respect for a freshman series. They defied the odds and made it to the network cycle. Sure, 30 Rock was a little clunky at first, or the first season of Parks and Rec pretty much stays out of your repeat reviewing rotation, but both of those shows went on to become 2 of the highest rated comedies of all time. Pilots are hard. If you don't believe that, watch the first episode of this dumpster fire. And look where we are now. The room of my childhood home. And that's all the news I have for you for this week on C Plus News Time. Why don't you subscribe and check out one of our other videos? Of course, you can always head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where we've got the latest news, reviews, features, interviews, and other good comedy bits that only I can provide you with. You can follow us on Twitter at C Plus Comedy. Follow me on Twitter at ChadBlackWhite. Like us on Facebook. Tumblr with us on Tumblr. And always be sure to have a nice flannel shirt, because you never know when you're going to chop down a tree or cosplay as Paul Bunyan. I just need an ox. Okay, bye.